Hello, I'm Jane Revitt. Welcome to my studio. I sometimes make artwork for particular places, indoors and out of doors, and I use the studio for designing, planning and making little models, scale models. And these are some of the pieces that I worked on when I was making chairs for Chester Zoo. I made 3 chairs for Chester Zoo and also designed gardens to go around them, working with the zoo's horticultural experts. It was a really great project. I designed a flamingo garden with pink feathery plants to go around the flamingo chair. I used to work with IOU Theatre, and we often made theatre for particular places, making site-specific work, creating worlds, and I think I still do this in some ways in my work, create places with either objects or sometimes with colour. I often work in collaboration with other artists and other makers, and this enables me to design work in different materials that I wouldn't be able to use otherwise, such as printed fabric, steel or wood. For instance, when I made the chairs for the zoo, it was great to work with Wood and Wire, the local company based in Hebden Bridge, and their skills were absolutely fantastic to work with. When the Tour de France started in Yorkshire a few years ago, I had the opportunity to make a landscape artwork for a hilltop near Elland, and it was designed to be filmed from the air as well as seen from the ground. It takes the form of a murmuration of starlings. A large number of birds were cut out and then pinned to the ground on the steep hillside. There were 542 in all, and it was a really tricky operation that took several days to get them into just the right positions. I first started creating items of furniture when we made a large lounge area for the Royal Festival Hall. It was called the Book Lounge, and it went alongside a children's literature festival. The chairs had speakers in the wings so that visitors could sit and listen to children telling their own stories. And the fabric was printed with a hugely enlarged poem written by one of the children. And since then I've made talking chairs for schools, libraries, museums, historic buildings and a little lounge area for the foyer of the Royal Exchange Theatre. The first time I used maps printed onto fabric was when 2 large armchairs were covered in the A to Z map of London for another project at the Royal Festival Hall. This was called the Poetry Lounge. And the following year we designed the Poetry Shop, a much smaller scale version for Hebden Bridge Arts Festival. We took over a little shop in the town and filled it with poetry. The poet John Hegley came and ran workshops with children in school, and their poems could be heard by visitors sitting in the chairs. One of these chairs is still in Hebden Bridge Town Hall. The other, sadly, was destroyed in one of the floods that swept through the town a few years ago. And one year I made a few cushions printed with maps of Hebden Bridge to sell during the Arts Festival, and this has developed into me making a whole range of items printed with vintage maps and contemporary maps of a huge range of places that I now sell to shops and galleries around the country and in my online shop. I sometimes use really old maps, and when they're enlarged for printing, all sorts of details that you could hardly see before emerge, and it's quite amazing to see the quality of the original engravings. So I work on these 2 different scales of project, and I really like working on the bigger projects, transforming spaces when I get the chance, but it's also really satisfying to make things that people can take home and use every day. You can see more of my work on my website or find items printed with maps either in my online shop or from my stockists, who are now reopening after lockdown. Thanks for visiting my virtual open studio, and I hope to see you in person very soon.